Kyle Schwarber did something that no one has ever done before. Kyle Schwarber took over the All-Star game last night. The All-Star game ended up in a swing-off, which I then saw led to a bunch of very wild discourse on radio today, especially in Philadelphia. And I was going back and forth on whether or not I wanted to give that conversation some oxygen, and I still might. But Schwarber ends up in this swing-off, and it's essentially a home run derby with the team that ends up with more home runs winning the All-Star game, which is actually kind of cool, especially for an exhibition game. Why not? Schwarber goes up, and he gets 3 at-bats, he gets 3 swings, and he knocks all 3 of those swings out of the park. And ultimately, the National League beats the American League. Schwarber gets named All-Star Game MVP. And then you feel the tightness in the city of Philadelphia because everybody's excited, right? Anybody who's watching the All-Star Game who is a Phillies fan wants to watch Kyle Schwarber go up and hit Schwarbombs. You want him to be like Big Al. My name's Big Al. And I hit dingers. That's what we want out of Kyle Schwarber. You want to watch Schwarber crush the ball. Kind of disappointed that he didn't do the home run derby, but I get it. Here he gets to have a mini home run derby, and all 3 of his swings go out of the ballpark. And he gets named All-Star Game MVP. And you feel the excitement as a Phillies fan, and then you remember Dave Dombrowski didn't sign him long-term in the offseason. And that according to some reports, the Phillies number wasn't even remotely close. And so again, I ask, what are we doing? What are you doing, Dave Dombrowski? What is the point? What is the point of any of it? I mean, we talk about windows. We talk about untouchable prospects that aren't exactly lighting up the world in the minors right now. We talk about the idea that you need to maximize your talent window with guys like JT Realmuto, with Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, Bryce Harper, Zach Wheeler, who has an expiration date of 2027. He's put his own expiration date on the packaging. You can see it. That light at the end of the tunnel isn't an escape from anything. It is the expiration date of Zach Wheeler, an oncoming train about to smash you in the face. And this team didn't prioritize bringing back Kyle Schwarber. They didn't prioritize giving him a longer-term deal. They've given it to anybody else. Trey Turner's here in perpetuity. You have Bryce Harper here for the second half of a contract when he's had issues remaining healthy. You have all these things going on. Kyle Schwarber, of all the people, Kyle Schwarber, who's your only legitimate power bat. You couldn't figure out a way to bring him back. And now he's leading your team in homers. He really does look like the only threat at the plate to go yard. He goes out, and now he's an All-Star Game MVP. And listen, it doesn't really change much, right? Teams that were going to be interested in Kyle Schwarber anyway are going to remain interested in Kyle Schwarber. The All-Star Game MVP isn't going to take a team that hadn't previously thought about it and say, oh, you know what? I'd like to see Kyle Schwarber come to my team and hit dingers in my park as well. I hadn't thought about it until I saw him hit 3 of them in the All-Star Game. That's not going to happen. But it's just another one of those, here's an accolade, here's something the guy did. He shows up at the moments that you need him to most. That was clutch. I get it. It's not a playoff game. But he goes up there, 3 swings, 3 home runs. And then you think about next year. I just want everybody to hop into the future, the little time machine thing. Let's go a year in advance. If the Phillies don't bring back Kyle Schwarber, is Kyle Schwarber going to go to a team and hit home runs? He will. Will Kyle Schwarber put on another team's uniform a year from now, walk into Citizens Bank Park for the All-Star Game, participate in the Home Run Derby, and piss off every Phillies fan? Not because we're not going to boo Kyle Schwarber. If Schwarber chooses to leave at the end of the year, and all this stuff comes out about how the Phillies undercut, didn't make him a legitimate offer, we're going to cheer the shit out of Kyle Schwarber. But we're going to boo the hell out of Dave Dombrowski and whoever has been involved in not getting this guy signed. And then next year, Schwarber comes back in an opposing uniform. Guess what? That ballpark is going to pop off. They're going to cheer for him, and they're going to be pissed as hell at the front office that totally dropped the ball again and again and again and again and again. Because make no mistake, not re-signing Kyle Schwarber isn't a one-time mistake. You could have done it last season. You could have done it last offseason. You could have done it during spring training. You could have done it through the first half of this regular season. You played with fire, and there's a very good chance you're going to get burned. And even if you don't, let's just envision a scenario where Kyle Schwarber decides he wants to come back to Philadelphia. do you think his price has gone down after the first half of a season? Then you think it's going to go down? If he remains your most consistent power bat and like clears the rest of this lineup considerably, like it looks like he might, you think that price is going to come down? I'm sorry, like, where's the logic? Who made the call? What? And by the way, if the Phillies did make him a really strong offer, maybe even an above market kind of value, and he chose not to take it, somebody better start leaking that shit soon. I mean, like, second half of the season soon. Because if that story doesn't come out until the offseason, if he like goes and signs, and I saw this, like Chris Fried says, if he signs with the Mets, we're going to boo him with batteries in hand. If he signs with the Mets, we'll be pissed. But I think we'd still go like, all right, well, the Phillies must have screwed it up. You can't, if he goes and signs elsewhere, then be like,
well, the Phillies did make a competitive offer in the 2024-2025 offseason where they tried to get him, and, he actually ended up getting a little bit less money by going to another team.
If you're getting strung along this entire time, this entire season, you're continuing to perform, and this team still isn't willing to give you what you are worth, that's a problem. And if a guy sours on that and ultimately takes less money, you can't blame him. I mean, to some extent, we've seen that in the fallout of what happened with like Yabusele leaving the Sixers for the Knicks. Like Daryl Morey kind of came out and said something to the effect of like he thought that they could have been in position to give Yabusele more money than he got from the Knicks, but like he would have had to wait a little bit. But Yabusele said there was no actual contract offer. Like all this crap. If you string a guy along for long enough, might not be thrilled. And ultimately might go and leave for a division rival, which would suck.